Sunday basketball in New York City in the Big East as Villanova takes to the road their fourth straight contest away from home, taking on St. John's this afternoon in Queens, New York. A couple of proud programs used to being in the postseason, not used to being in the bottom half of these Big East standings. Marquette leading the way, but you have to go to 7 to find Villanova, 9 to find St. John's. That is not business as usual. Courtside at Carnesecca Arena, welcome in with former St. John's standout Sky Lindsay. I'm Jonathan Yardley. And Sky, it's an important time of the year throughout the Big East, but especially for these two teams.
John, for the Big East, today wraps up the first half of conference play, and both teams are coming in off crucial single-digit wins Friday night. And I say crucial because both coaches believe that that win Friday night was the win they needed to turn their season around as they wrap up this first half of conference play. Last year, Villanova and St. John's split the series. This year, there's only one game separating the two in the standings. And so you're right, John, today is a very important game.
Our players to watch today are both in the post, and on the St. John's side, that means Kurdiona Breelove coming off a couple of big games, including Friday's win over Georgetown.
She came up big when that Johnnies needed her in the second half against Georgetown. She scored 15 of her 17 points in the second half with a game-high 10 boards. They're going to need her to score today, no doubt about it, John. But it will really be her effort on the defensive end that'll be the true test for her today.
She could be matched up inside with Villanova's leader, Mary Gadeka, who was clutch in their road win over Seton Hall Friday.
And what a treat we are in for today. The Breelove-Gadeka battle will be nothing less than exciting, John. Mary has been deadly accurate from the field this season, leading the conference and ranking 5th in the nation with a 66.7 field goal percentage. She went 8 of 10 with 20 points in their Friday win at Seton Hall, and St. John's must find a way to slow her down today.
Starting lineups this afternoon are going to look very familiar. St. John's, it's been this way almost the whole year. England, Hoppy, KB, Wellaire, and we told you about Breelove in the post. That's under Joe Tardamella in his 7th year. And over on the Villanova side, Gadeka is the centerpiece. We told you 5th in the country in field goal percentage. She's good at getting to the rim. And she'll be the post presence for the Wildcats. Michaela Hahn, or Adriana Hahn, I should say, Jana Tucker, Kelly Jaycott, and Bridget Herlihy rounding out the Villanova's starting lineup. 66th all-time meeting between Villanova and St. John's. Herlihy to jump with Breelove, not just right now. We'll get a whistle to make sure everybody's lined up properly, and we're good to go. Villanova and St. John's squaring off on the Sunday afternoon, and Quidasha Hoppy steals it right off the tip for the Red Storm. St. John's a 1-6 start in conference play, got the win against Georgetown, and they feed the woman who helped them there, Kurdiona Breelove, right away. Couldn't convert on the first possession.
England, she's a great point guard. She makes great passes, but she needs her post players right there to finish when she makes those night passes. A layup Breelove has to make as this game continues on, John.
Villanova, a deliberate offense that uses the three-pointer almost as much as anybody in the Big East. Second highest percentage of shots taken from three-point range behind only DePaul. And you see why as Bridget Herlihy, the older of two sisters, knocks down a triple.
And Coach Tardamella, before the game, Johnny spoke about the teams are shooting 40% against us from the three in Big East play, something St. John's traditionally has been good at defending, and right there allowing Nova to knock down a three.
Breelove responds inside with a deuce. And Sky, Villanova in particular, you said you were getting flashbacks and not good ones to facing this offense. Why are they so frustrating to play against?
Absolutely, John. They just take their time. They're so patient. They make great strong cuts like right there by Gadeka, and they get easy, high-quality shots and layups.
That was the rare basket taken in the first 10 seconds of the shot clock from Villanova. Usually it's in the latter third.
St. John's getting caught playing too lazy so early on in the shot clock, and that's what Villanova does, John. I remember it oh too well. They wait until they find one person who's being lazy or relaxing just for that one moment, and they'll make you pay.
Adriana Hahn, pocket picked by Quidasha Hoppy. St. John's in transition. And Hoppy sinks it. That's something the Red Storm need to get going in the second half of conference play.
Hoppy, she's been such a bright spot for this Johnny's group, and right there having active hands, getting the tip, earning a steal, and nice smart move to pull up for the shot, the 15-footer, instead of going for the layup.
There's Gadeka. She took over the game against Seton Hall on Friday, and she's got 4 of the Wildcats' 7.
John Gadeka, she just knows her game. She knows her spots where she's best at, and she just keeps the game very simple.
Tiana England with the penetration and the response.
Not much defense by both squads, looking like both teams early on. Might be a high-scoring game on our hands, John, if things continue as they are.
Villanova, the worst team defensively in the Big East in conference play, 10th in defensive rating, but 4th offensively. Gadeka on the drive, the kick, and she took Jaycott almost out of bounds. 2 to shoot. Got it off and uses the left to scoop and score.
And you saw Coach Tartamello's reaction right there, not happy. Again, great 28 seconds of team defense by St. John's, then Breelove allowing Gadeka to score the layup at the buzzer as a heartbreaker.
She's 16 for 19 in the last 2 games, and Gadeka now 3 for 3 in the first quarter. And some of those are tough looks. It's not just gimmies.
That was a tough look right there, John, by Hoppy. You can see she's been working on that pull-up game, and she's ready to play today in this first half.
All right, both teams feeling it. I was here 2 weeks ago. We didn't get a field goal until 5 minutes in.
Coach Tartamello, he said before the game, he never knows which team he's going to get, and it looks like, from the looks of it, this is the St. John's group that he wants to get in this first half. England
on the run. Breelove's going to try it. St. John's not a good three-point shooting team.
But Breelove, you know, she has the height, but she's not afraid to take perimeter shots. And right there, taking one, Gadeka's going to allow her to take those shots until she proves she can knock some of those down.
Here's Jana Tucker. Looking for a cutter. Now she takes it herself, forces one. St. John's will be happy with that defensively, and Hoppy pulls in a tough rebound.
Yes, nice box out by Hoppy to steal the defender behind her and get that rebound.
Boy, England is loving transition. They got a little hop in her step and draws a foul.
That's England's game, John. She wants to get the ball and go. She wants a fast-paced end-to-end game, and right there, once she gets the ball, Villanova has to be alert and stop her early because she's looking to attack every time.
Early change at the point for Villanova. That's Raven James, sophomore from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, checking in, replacing Adriana Hahn. England created separation but missed the jumper.
And another big substitute to notice, John. Right here we have Charles in the game, the young sophomore in the group, coming in for Breelove, now given the assignment to stay with Gadeka.
Jana Tucker from the corner. All-American high school player. Began her career at Tennessee, has had knee problems, finishing her career as a starter and leader of this Villanova team, now in her 3rd year with the Wildcats.
Yeah, she hit 14 points for Seton Hall, and she's definitely a scorer. She's looking to put up points for this Villanova group, and she's been doing just that.
Charles pressured that rebound. Wellaire came up with it, and St. John's resets. Hoppy was feeling that J, but that one stepped her out a little bit far.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's the shot Coach Tartamello wanted off of that nice steal, and they had a new shot clock, but she hit the first 2 jumpers earlier, so it's what I call a heat check right there, John.
Heat check. That's Villanova's game all the way. Jana Tucker, another tray.
Yes, Tucker heating things up on her end of the floor, and I tell you what, someone has to get a hand in that young lady's face.
Villanova 3 for 4 from three-point range. That is how the Wildcats thrive. Teams go to the floor, and they'll call it a held ball that'll go to Villanova after our first timeout of the day. The Wildcats off to a hot start as both teams try to turn a corner. Villanova 15-8 early.
Thank you.
They're going to be inbounding the ball right next to her. That's going to be great.
Oh gosh, it went 8 to 15 so fast. Like, how did when did the 15 happen?
All those threes.
The heck?
They had 3 threes, right? So that's 9 of the 15.
Was it 3?
And Gadeka had all the others.
Yeah, because they started the game out with a 3.
And they kept missing 3s. If your offense is not exceptional, you might as well shoot the 3. Your made shots are worth more. Welcome back to Carnesecca Arena, midway through the first quarter with Villanova out to a 15-8 lead on St. John's. Villanova 7-6 against St. John's in the Joe Tardamella era. I could give you the Harry Peretta era, but it would be just about every meeting they've ever had. He's in his 41st year in charge of Villanova. Kelly Jaycott inside, and the Wildcats have run off 8 straight points.
Coach Peretta, a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge the Villanova girls get with coaching and playing underneath him. And he's been a great coach for women's basketball overall, John. It's been a lot of fun. I got the chance to play against him, and a very smart coach for sure.
Just to put it in perspective, last year's team had 3 players who were the daughters of his former players on the team. And that includes Gadeka, whose mom is 5th in Villanova history in points.
You know, it takes a while to learn his style of play, and so it always helps when you have the daughters of your former players. It's a lot less teaching in that regard.
And Villanova fans, I'm sure, have heard this time and time again, but Mary Gadeka, as she knocks down the 3, played for her mother in high school at Gloucester Catholic in New Jersey, so I think she was running the same system all 4 years.
And that explains Gadeka. She is a baller, John, and right there knocking down a 3-point shot. Charles did not contest, did not believe she could knock it down, and I bet Charles is a believer now.
She's got 9 of Villanova's 20 and hasn't missed a shot. Low percentage look for Charles with the left-handed baby hook. St. John's in a rut here. That England bucket, their only field goal of the last 5 minutes.
St. John's, they started out red hot, but slowed down once Villanova started knocking down a couple of those 3s. And right now, St. John's has to get a stop on defense and get their momentum back on offense.
Raven James looking for Gadeka. got inside, finally a miss. Tiana England forces it. Draws a foul, can't convert. But Tiana England in transition once again.
And who would think England, the 5'7" redshirt sophomore guard, would be the one, and her defensive effort would be the stop to finally cause Gadeka to miss her first shot in this game. And right there as well, going coast to coast as she loves to do and drawing a foul.
Redshirt sophomore from Stamford, Connecticut. Most minutes per game in the Big East. She's averaging 36.1. And she leads in assists as well, 5.5 a game.
Yeah, England, she has to be in tip-top shape for sure this season for her St. John's group because she doesn't get many minutes off the floor. And that's because her team needs her on the floor as much as possible.
Kind of always has that half smile on her face, even after a missed free throw that she thought was going down. Couple of changes for Villanova, including Gadeka off the floor. Slight sigh of relief, perhaps, for St. John's. Bridget Herlihy using the window to perfection.
And if you notice, John, Coach Tardanella was about to sub Relove in the game. She was standing on, waiting on the floor to be subbed in, but as soon as he saw Gadeka come out the game, he decided to leave Charles on the floor.
How about the turn by Hoppy? But she came up short at the bucket. Emily Esposito, number 23, grabbing the rebound for Villanova. Esposito, redshirt freshman, tied her career high with 13 points and was critical in the come-from-behind win at Seton Hall. Villanova was down 9 in the fourth quarter and won that game.
Yeah, John, I got the chance to watch that game. I was flipping back and forth, watching the St. John's Georgetown game and the Seton Hall Villanova game, and I ended up keeping it on that Seton Hall Villanova game because it came down to the very end, the final seconds, and what a fun game that was to watch.
Sounds like you and I had the same experience, at least in the fourth quarter on Friday.
Yeah, John, we had to make a decision which game we wanted to finish out watching. And
we needed that split screen option.
Yeah.
We're working on it. Final minute of the first quarter. 8-second differential between game and shot clock as England pressures Raven James. Brianna Herlihy sets the screen. James on the drive. Kicked it into the St. John's bench, and the Red Storm will have 13 seconds to close the quarter with a bucket.
And James kind of almost had a layup. She had gotten past England and found a lane to the hoop, but for some reason decided to pass it and passed it out of bounds.
Alicia Kaby, quiet first quarter. She drives, she gets kicked, she throws it up, and she'll have some free throws here. Went a little early, so still 5.5 on the game clock.
Kaby's smart move, you know, she got low and was able to split both Villanova defenders and found a way to get to the basket. And right now it's all about determination and just wanting it more for St. John's in order to close this gap up.
She's been shooting the three-pointer really well, but the last couple of games, she's just 2 for 8 from downtown. 40% three-point shooter and 85% free throw shooter. You saw why. Time running down. Herlihy lets it go and almost banked it in. But Villanova still a very strong first quarter. The Wildcats out to a 22-13 lead, trying to win 2 in a row on the road. Second quarter action in the Big East coming your way next. Can you let us know we're clear at these breaks?
All right, fans, it's time for
Thank
our
you.
Chosen Johnny contest. Today's Chosen Johnny is Sabrina. Since Sabrina brought 5 friends to the game, so the chance to compete for an exclusive prize. Today's prize is a $350 Under Armour shopping spree.
Oh, yeah.
For Sabrina and all her friends. Sabrina will have 30 seconds to hit a layup for a t-shirt, a free throw for an Under Armour backpack, and a three-pointer for a $350 Under Armour shopping spree.
How can you put a girl that small out there and ask her to shoot a 3?
I think she wants to start out with the 3 and then move in because she could do a layup and other options.
Go!
Oh, okay.
Keep going, keep going.
It's really good. She can. I did a clinic yesterday with 7 to 11-year-olds, and half of them couldn't even hit the rim. Oh, she's strong.
I got to get my daughter shooting. She's 3.
Yeah.
But she's strong. She can. I bet she could.
Yeah. My cousins were like 7 and 8 and couldn't hit the rim.
Thank you.
Gonna try for the three-pointer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It looks like you didn't make the three-pointer, but we'll still be sending you home with a bunch of prizes. Thank you for playing.
I mean, that's not sustainable, you wouldn't think.
Welcome to the court, the St. John's University cheer squad and that band.
There you see the Villanova huddle. Wildcats up 22-13 through 1 quarter of action here in Queens. 4 straight road games. They're trying to go 3-1 in those 4, including at the Palestra, beating Penn in a Philly 5 game. Lost at Georgetown, but then the win over Seton Hall on Friday. Real chance for them to get some momentum, even though they're a bit banged up.
Absolutely. We said before the game in our intro that Coach Harry Peretter, he believes that that win on Friday is exactly what they needed to turn their season around, and he's thinking very positive for this experienced group, and he believes they have what it takes to get back on track.
Kurtiona Breelove back in for St. John's, number 25. They clearly were feeding her in the post early, only went 1 out of 3. Being defended by Brianna Herlihy, the younger sister of the two right now. England with the pull-up, sharp stop, but too strong with the effort. Adriana Hahn back in. Running the point for Villanova, number 31. And Gadeka, 30, is in as well, has the ball against Breelove right now. Against Seton Hall, they were just ISOing her late in the game. We haven't seen a lot of that today. Here she works ISO in the middle of the floor, and of course, banks it in. She's 5 out of 6 today.
And that's the exact move that worked against Seton Hall, and I'm pretty sure St. John's saw that game as well. And she loves that spin. After going left, she spins back to the right side for the layup. And so you have to be ready to slide your feet and probably even double once she makes that spin and turns her back.
Meanwhile, for St. John's, we're seeing pull-up jumper after pull-up jumper. And I think we know in the modern game, a long 2 is not an efficient shot.
Yeah, but Villanova, they're just playing such great defense. They're not really allowing St. John's those lanes to the basket as they would like. And so St. John's guards right now being forced to settle for those pull-ups.
Hahn, clear lane, finds Jaycott. She hesitated into the paint with the left. They use the window more than anyone I've seen.
And I love that fake by Jaycott. She faked it, she was going to do a spin and came right back to the left side. She knew she had the height advantage, had England guarding her, and took her.
Jaycott is actually Villanova's leading scorer on the year, and she has them doubling up St. John's right now. 26-13 Wildcats here in the second.
The team will be back in action at Madison Square Garden on Saturday, February 9th, when the Red Storm takes on Big East opponent Providence at noon. For more information on game times, upcoming promotions, or to purchase tickets, visit redstormpicks.com. Fans, Ms. Bela is giving away tickets.
I don't follow the offense. It's just like, let's let somebody go shoot. Like there's no, other than feed Breelove in the post early, which they now aren't doing.
They're more of a one-on-one team and don't really.
But they're not that good at it.
Yeah. I don't even think they're going to make the WNIT.
No.
We're looking for the loudest fans, so get up on your feet and make some noise.
Is there a floating one in the first half? Villanova 6-3 on the road this year and trying to continue that success today out to a 26-13 lead over St. John's. They're 11 of 16 from the field. Sky Lindsay, how do you defend a group that's this hot?
You have to contest the shooter. They're 11 for 16 and 4 for 5 from behind the three-point line. And just against a group like Villanova, you have to be alert. You have to communicate on defense. You have to be active. There cannot be one weak link on the floor on defense because Villanova, they look for that one weak link.
Jasmine Sina, number 10, three-point shooter in at the top of the screen for St. John's. Kayla Charles back in the post for the Red Storm after that timeout. They free up Sina, pump fake, long two, in and out, and Charles commits the foul on the follow. That was a design play. They got exactly what they were looking for. Just didn't go down.
Yeah, Sina had the nice soft touch right into the game, trying to make things happen. They just couldn't get the friendly roll, but I like the shot.
She was a career 35% three-point shooter at Binghamton. Graduate transfer, has been just 3 of 18 from deep with the Red Storm. Adriana Hahn knows a thing or two about three-pointers. She's closing in on the Villanova record. Esposito, she hits a long two. That's a tough shot.
Esposito, she's 5'9". She has the height advantage, and right there, just able to shoot right over Sina.
England on the switch. Finds Akina Wellaire. Again, rims out. If you're St. John's, you say the percentages are going to even out at some point. But as Joe Tardamella pointed out to you, St. John's last in the league defending the three-pointer. He couldn't pinpoint a reason, but it seems to be a trend this year.
That's right, and for some reason, St. John's is on their home floor, but just not getting the friendly rolls, and Villanova right now getting everything to fall.
England pushing it, rare transition opportunity, and Wellaire able to convert, and that's what a defensive stop will give you.
A nice hustle by Wellaire to run the floor hard. She knows playing with England, if I run hard, she will reward me with a layup of my own. It's exactly what happened.
They were hoping Akina Wellaire would be the go-to scorer at this point in her career. It hasn't quite materialized that way as Villanova works inside for another layup. And Esposito having to take on a bigger role with Grace Stant out for the year. Not the same type of player. She's more of a 3 or a 4, or even a 2, but she's producing in those minutes. Gadeka denied KB, and the foul goes against the St. John's junior.
A nice help by Gadeka. She was not guarding KB at that moment, but right there got her hand in and was able to snatch the ball out of her hand. And as she fell to the floor, the ref felt KB may have knocked her down and added to that ball by Gadeka.
That's a good defensive stance, right? Hands up. She barely had to move it to get the strip.
And at that point, when KB's driving to the basket on that left side, it was almost important for Breedlove to step out towards the baseline to get out of the way. Breedlove stood there, and so she allowed Gadeka to be able to guard both Breedlove and KB as she was driving.
Jaycott, great cut, and she's fouled by Wellaire. Free throws coming for the Villanova junior.
That foul looked like it was a bit aggressive, just out of frustration, and again, just frustrated for St. John's because Villanova running their sets, being patient, and really making this game look really easy.
Hey, no layups. If you're going to foul, make sure they don't make the shot.
That is basketball 101, right? Make the foul pay if you're going to foul. But against a Villanova group that can make free throws, it may not even matter. Right here, nice job circling around from the left side of the floor, from the right side of the floor over to the left to draw that foul.
Jaycott 1 out of 2 at the line. It's a 16-point lead. There's a bounce for Tiana England. She's up to 7.
England loves that one-handed layup. She's such a good job balancing the ball on her hand as she's in the air to finish those layups.
Villanova was up big and then started the second quarter with a 9-2 spurt to open up this double-digit lead. Good defense by the freshman Bailey there. Kadeja Bailey just into the game and got a stop on the vet, Jana Tucker.
Bailey, you know, she's a freshman, local, stayed local when she came to St. John's, and she was picked as preseason Big East Rookie of the Year and has been struggling, still trying to get her rhythm in this freshman year offensively, but right there showing us a nice defensive stop.
And hustling for the rebound as well. She's going against Tucker, who is 23. Got a well-deserved extra semester of eligibility to finish out her career here with Villanova. Bailey leaning in. Too strong, though, and Gadeka the rebound.
Bailey trying to take Jaycott, the 6-foot junior, but Jaycott just playing straight-up defense and causing a tough shot, a little bit out of control by Charles that time.
Villanova slowing it down a little bit with the 14-point lead in their trademark final 10 seconds of the shot clock style. Hoisting a three, and Hoppy with the rebound. That seemed like a take the possession off scenario, and Hoppy goes the other way and makes him pay.
Nobody stopped her, and Hoppy, she's fast, she's quick, and she has nice steps. She gets to the basket, and right there leaning in, not afraid of the contact, finishing with the left hand going coast to coast.
There's Gadeka with the cut. She got past Kwadasha Hoppy, and Mary Gadeka continues to ball. She's got 13.
Hoppy went for the steal that time, but sometimes if you don't get that steal, you're opening up for an open shot for the offensive player, as Gadeka had.
England with some English on the finish. She's up to 9.
She has so many counter moves, such a great ball handler. She knows how to create her shot, even when she's not really open.
She's been the lone bright spot offensively today for St. John's. Tucker just threw that up, came down off her foot. And you hope Jana Tucker is okay as she gets to her feet. Has had a couple of ACL surgeries in her career. And a slight limp for Tucker, the 6th-year senior from Baltimore. 12-point game. The largest lead today was 16 for Villanova. See what St. John's does with this set. Corner three for KB, way too strong. And the rebound to Adriana Hahn. St.
John's just struggling to finish those perimeter shots. Not the greatest three-point shooting team this year. I want to see them continue to attack the basket like England and Hoppy have been doing.
KB at least is the right shooter, a 40% three-point shooter, as Bridget Herlihy is fouled. She took several steps on this drive.
Yeah, the 6'2" junior right here, just two strong power dribbles, getting to the middle of the paint and just leaning in just enough to draw the foul.
Engineering major. She and her sister 15 months apart. Couple of state titles at Braintree High School in Massachusetts.
Now in for St. John's, number 30, Kadeja Bailey.
And Bridget over her season average with 6 points here in the first half. Again, Cena uses the pump fake, goes inside and dishes to KB.
Cena, nice move right there. Pump fake, drawing two defenders and getting KB a nice open layup on the opposite side.
St. John's needed that. At the other end, Herlihy again with a height advantage on England. Now Tucker. Jaycott against Hoppy, 5 to shoot. Backing her in, using the window. No good this time. St. John's wants to run. Chance for a little bit of momentum for St. John's if they can convert here.
England getting the chance to run the 2 position for a change right now with Cena on the floor.
Hoppy into the teeth of the defense, finds KB. Neat interchange. Comes to Cena. 2 good looks for St. John's, and neither one goes down.
That's another heartbreaker.
It's been that kind of season.
Yeah, St. John's, nice time being patient on offense, getting good shots. Just couldn't get it to fall, and it's just, like you said, been that type of season.
Hoppy with a great dish. Herlihy with the swat, and the ball's going to stay with St. John's. The penetration passes have been there for St. John's, though, the last couple of possessions.
Yeah, and KB out of frustration hitting the hoop just now with the basketball. But Villanova, they have such great height on this team, and it's forcing St. John's to have to alter their shots and not be so comfortable with their layups, and that's why they're unable to really finish and be consistent offensively.
Obviously, I got that wrong. It was out off St. John's, so Villanova, Hahn, too strong. Tucker the rebound, and now Villanova can hold for last shot. Terrific first quarter for Villanova. They've done enough to hold it in the second. Hahn took that way early and wasted the chance for last shot. Now St. John's can get a look. That's mismanaged right there from a senior. And that was taken early, and that's going to do it on the first half. Villanova uses the big first quarter, and who else? Mary Gadeka dominant with 13 points as the Wildcats open up a 34-23 lead on St. John's through 20 minutes of hoops at Carnesecca Arena in Queens. Much more still to come, but at halftime, Villanova 34, St. John's 23.
Game on FS2. Monica, thank you so much for joining me.
No problem, Megan. Happy to chat.
Let's start with DePaul, Monica. The Blue Demons won the Big East tournament last season. They were picked to finish at the top in the preseason coaches poll alongside Marquette. However, DePaul is 4-3 in conference play right now. What do the Blue Demons need to do to establish a rhythm moving forward?
Well, honestly, Megan, I think we're starting to see that from them. I think back to their game versus Georgetown here in D.C., where they were down double digits and managed to come back and win that ball game. I know, myself included, to a degree, folks were sort of blown out of the water a bit to see the loss to Creighton to kick off conference play. But I think it's just that, kicking off conference play. And I think you have to give them a little bit of wiggle room. I mean, the game of basketball in a game and over the course of the season is about the ebb and flow. It's a series of runs, but I think we're starting to see DePaul hit a little bit of momentum. I do think that a key to that has been their commitment on the defensive end. We know that they can score. I mean, we know they've got Grays, they've got Campbell, they've got plenty of young ladies that can score, but I think they had to be reminded of just how hard it is to win in this league and that you truly can't take anything for granted. But I think Creighton was a solid wake-up call for them.
What is the biggest difference in this year's DePaul team that you've seen in versus last year's?
The key to grasping what he's calling when he's calling it is just a degree of toughness. Now, I think that this team can get there, but I also think you got to give credit to the league. The league looks a little bit different than it did last year as well. I mean, you've got Butler and Marquette that are at the top standing right now, and they would be the teams that come to mind in terms of being in the way for a DePaul team that's trying to repeat the success they had last year.
You mentioned it right there, Monica. Butler. DePaul faces the Bulldogs on Friday. Butler has the stingiest defense in the Big East. They are leading the Big East in scoring defense. What does DePaul need to do offensively to score on Butler on Friday night?
So I am really excited for this matchup. I'm excited for the next 2 games that Butler has because they finished with DePaul and then they've got Marquette. I look at Coach Godleski, who truly formulated a system that would allow the players on his roster to thrive, and it has been an incredible turnaround for his program, I'm sure that you know. And then I'm looking at Coach Bruno, who is well-established in this league, who always has the horses that he needs in terms of putting players in position to be successful. This one I expect to come down to execution, both on the defensive end and on the offensive end. You mentioned Butler's stingy defense. There are holes because as an offensive player, you always have the upper hand just slightly because you know what you're going to do and the defense doesn't. However, you have to pick your spots very wisely when you play Butler. You have to get into those passing lanes. You have to pick spots that make them rotate and hopefully create holes in their defense. On the other end, Butler also doesn't really get rushed in the offensive set. So as important as a defensive commitment is going to be for DePaul, they're going to have to maintain the duration of the shot clock. They're going to have to be talking, and they're going to have to clean up that side of the glass as well, because if you allow Butler to get second chance opportunities, then they really start to feel themselves.
Let's take a look a little bit more so at the middle of the league now, Monica. Georgetown, they are 3-4, a veteran team. What do the Hoyas need to do to start developing consistency moving forward?
I think we've seen some Jekyll and Hyde action out of the Hoyas. They are a team, to me, that has not quite identified this year's signature. When you talk to other coaches preparing to play Georgetown, the statement that you get is, they want to get up and down in transition. They want to play defense. They want to play ball fast. And I think that was Georgetown last year, no question. This year, I don't know that game is benefiting Georgetown the way that it did. So I think that they're still trying to figure it out, but they just have to put two halves together would be my suggestion. The last time I saw them, they were playing Villanova, and that was truly a chess match in terms of Peretta, Howard. I mean, you got guards going at it. But Georgetown came out big in that one largely because of the performance of Dorothy Adamako. I think they've got to understand that Deanna White is circled on the scout. And so what was available to her last year may not be as available as easily. And so maybe this is a team that we see needs to slow down and execute in the half-court set as opposed to trying to get up and down, because teams are well prepared for their transition game.
Who is your dark horse in the league?
Oh, man. So I haven't seen either of these teams yet in person, but I'm thinking that Seton Hall might be my dark horse. Although when I saw Providence knocked off Butler, I was like, ooh, maybe I need to pay those guys a little bit more attention as well. But I think Coach Bozzella just does a fantastic job with Seton Hall. And I know when I saw them last year a few different times, I was just sort of impressed with, again, their toughness. They seem to be really talented this year. We know Samuels had a big week coming off of an award last week. And so I think that's a team that might be able to sneak up and get some people. I kind of think that they're due. So we'll see. I would pick Seton Hall, the Pirates.
And they have that whole entire new offense in store this season that you're seeing really come to light now.
Indeed. And I think anytime a coach, there's something about the relationship when a coach goes and sets up a system that is truly for his players, right? Like, it's one thing as a player, you show up, okay, this is what we got to run. This one's my favorite play. This one may not be my favorite play. But when a coach says, hey, guys, we're going to overhaul this. We're going to play to our strengths. As a player, you're like, wow, like, not only does coach have a tremendous commitment to win, he has a commitment to win that is catered to what I do well. And so you can't do anything but get excited about an opportunity to do something that is custom fit for you. I don't know about you, Megan, but when I get some clothes tailored or get a dress tailored and it's fit just for me, like, you get excited about that.
They are there. You're custom made. It gives you all that, the confidence. It gives you the confidence then that you can take on the world. You can take on that meeting, that game, that interview, whatever. Exactly.
And so if the overhaul of an offense is going to speak to success, we've already seen that with Butler, right? Like, they've had a complete turnaround because Coach Godleski did the exact same thing.
Now I'm going to have you choose your all Big East starting five.
All right, I do want to give this slight disclaimer in that it is a little bit of recency bias in my starting five. And this could change over the course of the season. But I got to go with Marquette, who's into the top 10, which is outstanding for Coach Carolyn Krieger and her program. Natisha Heidemann is definitely on that list. And then I've actually got Kelly Jaycott from Villanova. I just think that her skill set is a defensive problem. Like, she's just so patient, can score on the outside, can score on the inside, really has a strong grasp on the game. Then I'm going with Whitney Jennings from Butler because I think she's an outstanding point guard, and obviously you know the success that Butler is having. I could envision her playing off of Natisha Heidemann or even switching roles to a degree because Jennings also can knock down big shots. Okay. Then I'm going with Tori in the paint because I don't think that we have a big in the league that sort of matches up with her in her efficiency, Tori Butler. And then I'm wrapping this up with Marte Graves from DePaul right now. Versatile, off the bounce, can shoot, can score. Again, a little bit of a matchup problem.
You said right now. Is there someone who's kind of on the edge there who might kind of come in if they peak a little bit?
So outside of Jaycott, for most of this are teams that are performing well. I really like Dorothy Adamako out of Georgetown. I also am a big fan of Ari Gray over at Xavier, but I need to see those young ladies and their team kind of give me a little bit more consistency. And I know that's sort of a double standard because Villanova right now has some work to do in conference play, but I think Jaycott has just really established herself as a consistent threat no matter how that game goes in the league. I'm looking for some more consistency from Gray, looking for some more consistency out of Adamako. And then you got to watch Shadeen Samuels over at Seton Hall as well.
Monica, thank you so much for joining me. Have a great call this weekend.
Thanks, Megan.
Yes. Sure, that's good. No, it's just long highlights, but it'll be fine. Like, I'm trying to figure out, because I know they're not in chronological order, so I'm trying to figure out what, how to phrase various talking points.
And it's back and forth, which makes it harder. Number
21, Tucker.
I give up. I'll just wing it. So you're going to start it, pass it off to me. I'll pass it back to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Play, yeah.
Oh, we won't.
Yeah, I stopped writing.
I think the Creighton game, because the offense was so bad, I think the halftime highlights were every single basket that had been scored, because there was there wasn't a whole lot to choose from. Today, at least, there's a little more. Oh. Field goal percentage.
Yeah.
That's a kick in the teeth.
Okay.
Halftime in Queens, New York. Villanova leading St. John's 34-23. A lot to do in the second half for St. John's because Villanova was in control. Jonathan Yardley and Sky Lindsay with you. And Sky, what stood out to you from that Villanova first half performance? Because it was 9-8 early, and from there it was all Villanova.
Yeah, what stood out is it's Villanova playing Villanova basketball. They're a patient team. They play with such poise. They're under control. They take the best shots. They knocked down 4 3-point shots in this game. They were red hot behind the perimeter. St. John's has to get in their face and contest them better in the second half.
Villanova 4 for their first 5 on 3-pointers to open up the 22-13 lead in the first quarter. They actually went 0 from 3-point range in the second quarter, but St. John's is 0 for 6 on the day, so not making up any ground there. And they've struggled to score points consistently as well.
St. John's struggling around the perimeter. They were able to close this gap. At one point, they were down by 16, and they ended the half only down by 11 because they decided to try to attack the basket. Did a great job drawing defenders and dishing for bounce passes for layups. And right now they have England at 9 points, but Gideyka leads the way in this first half with 13 points, the only girl in double figures so far.
Yeah, Gideyka 13 to lead all scorers. Tiana England 9 for St. John's. Quidasha Hoppy, Bridget Herlihy, and Jana Tucker, each with 6 in that first half. But again, Gideyka, the key figure for so much of it on the Villanova side to get that lead. Here are the numbers from the first half, and they are going to show you that Villanova, not Georgetown, dominant, absolutely dominant in that first half, especially from the field.
Yeah, and Villanova got the least amount of shots. St. John's been 10 for 29, getting more shots than Villanova, but Villanova is knocking down more than St. John's.
There you have it, and it was still the same numbers. All Villanova in that first half, plus 11 Wildcats at the break. Minute and a half till the second half tips off. We'll take a short break and come back to Carnesecca Arena in Queens. St. John's Villanova second half action coming your way. Was that okay? I didn't fancy talking through a minute, 20 seconds.
Testing 1, 2, St. John's. St. John's Red Storm. Shamari Ponce is on the screen. We are watching a highlight video. Wow, St. John's is doing awesome in this highlight video.
Good narration. Getting ready to start the second half in Queens. Villanova trying to make it a weekend sweep in the New York metropolitan area. Took down Seton Hall with a big fourth quarter comeback. They were down 9 on Friday night. St. John's beat Georgetown on Friday and came out shooting well today, but really cooled off. Just 10 for 29 in the first half, and consequently trails by 11 as the third quarter commences. With Sky Lindsay and Megan Caffrey floating around here somewhere, I'm Jonathan Yardley. Glad you're with us in Queens. We know you've just seen Megan on the halftime report so far, but she did talk to the Villanova head coach, Harry Peretta, at halftime. He was pretty happy. It's not going to surprise you to learn with that first half. And they're going to continue to ride the hot hand in Mary Gideyka as long as they can, but it's Kelly Jaycott getting the Wildcats started in the third quarter with a triple.
Yeah, and Coach Peretta has every reason to be very happy coming into this third quarter. His group just shooting lights out, playing basketball as they should, and playing great team basketball. They play so well together. They have great experience, and they truly came to play today.
Joe Tartamella predictably less pleased. We'll leave it at that at the half.
And he spoke about the biggest thing for St. John's. He said it's coming out of the half. They've lost games in the first 5 minutes of the third quarter. So defensively, he said they give up too many baskets in that third quarter. So this is a crucial quarter for St. John's for them to try to turn things around in this game. This is the third quarter that they usually don't play that well in.
Let's say, Sky, if they're going to win this game, this needs to be a critical 5 minutes right here. They have to make up some ground.
Absolutely. And he said he wants to be on the plus side every 5 minutes. So he breaks the game into 5-minute intervals and tries to make them focus on just winning this 5 minutes. Forget about the rest of the score or the rest of the game.
Starters back on the floor for Villanova and for St. John's as well. Tiana England, no assists in that first half. St. John's as a team just had 2. Actually, I beg your pardon. England did have 1 of them, but she was much more effective scoring than usual. That's a blocking foul, and Wallaire will go back to the free throw line.
And Wallaire just happened to be active. Nice pass by Breela. Breela missed her first layup, but stayed with it, and even smarter move by Wallaire to cut to the hoop and catch that tough pass.
Willair, senior from Chicago, 76% free throw shooter, has scored double-digit points in the last 3 games after starting Big East play slowly.
You know, Willair, she's a senior, John, and this is her last year here at St. John's, and just trying to make the best of this final year and trying to get things going offensively. She's averaging 10.7 points a game, had 11 versus Georgetown, but has been a bit quiet in this Villanova game.
Tucker called for over the back. Terrific use of her length there, it looked like, but she's called for a foul on the rebound, her first.
In England with that smile, that smirk you mentioned earlier, and right there, happy with the call by the ref. She knew she wasn't that tall. She's only 5'7", but nice hops by England to get up there and draw that foul.
It's on her face almost all the time, but when she's just done something good or gotten away with something, it has a little extra meaning. Willair, can she get in a groove here? How about the Euro step? Sends you one way, go the other.
And that's something you don't see often in women's basketball, John. Right there, Willair giving us a nice Euro step. You can tell she's been watching some of the men's St. John's games this year and taking some of their moves.
Sky, she put her in another zip code. I mean, she put her way in the corner.
Took up a lot of space with those steps, and that's what basketball is about, taking up as much space as possible on the floor.
I don't know if I've ever heard it put that way, but it is so true. 8 points for Willair, and St. John's is going to need some more, but they have clawed it to an 8-point game from a deficit that hit 16 in the second quarter. And that means, actually, they've scored 6 straight since the opening 3 by Jaycott.
Yeah, John, that is major. St. John's closing this gap into single digits, especially with knowing that Coach Tartamella is so concerned with how they come out to play in the third quarter. I can imagine if we were in that St. John's locker room during halftime, he really spoke a lot about coming out strong in this third quarter.
Gadeka hasn't scored in this third quarter, but was on the defensive end there. We told you 5th in the country in field goal percentage, making 2/3 of her shots. She's 6 for 7 today, number 30 in Navy for Villanova. Jaycott again. She's got all 6 Villanova points in this quarter.
And we spoke about that during halftime, John. You have to contest Villanova and get your hands up. Breelove cannot keep her hands down on defense, even though she's not used to having to step away from the block to defend a post player. Against Villanova, all 5 players on the floor can knock down threes.
Off the foot of Jaycott, she tracks it down, plenty of time to work with. I hope Breelove gets a screen assist for the last play when she's screened off England's defender. Legally, according to our officials, Norma Jones, Carlina Tubin, and Jeffrey Smith this afternoon. Foul was called against Quidasha Hoppy, so it's a new shot clock for Villanova. Jaycott matched up with Breelove, and that's a plus for Villanova, but that 3 didn't go.
Breelove getting lucky right there. Jaycott showing us a couple of moves and some jab steps and some between the legs or a step back that was to create that space and just missed that shot.
Bad screen that time. I think Carrie Peretta said something to the officials after the previous screen by Breelove, like watch her next time down the floor, and she gets called for that one.
And that foul right there, forcing Coach Tartamella to take Breelove out of the game.
So they've switched KB onto Gadeka right at the top of the arc. And that's what they had to do against Creighton. Put KB on a big most of the time. She was their best defender, but it's led to mismatches elsewhere. Now Willair is inside, and Gadeka can handle her and go to the line. Mary Gadeka, red hot.
Gadeka, she catches the ball low. She doesn't pin the defender behind her and keep the defender behind her back, and right there does just a small wraparound to create some space and finish that layup. And She's smart. She knows how to do the wraparound with that opposite arm, just enough to not get called for the offensive foul, but instead to get the and one play.
She obviously grew up going to Villanova games. Again, her mother, Lisa Angelotti, top 5 in all-time points for Villanova. Her number is retired. And that was kind of a negative. She didn't want to be overshadowed by her mother. And, well, modern patriarchal society kind of changed her mind. She went on a visit, and one of the professors said, no one's even going to know it's your mom. It's a different last name. She's got her dad's last name. That kind of woke her up. She said, yeah, maybe I can make my own name, and she certainly is.
Absolutely, but mentally, that's some big shoes to follow coming out and knowing your mom was such a major player for the Villanova program. But I'll tell you what, she has truly made a name for herself, and a name for herself nationwide, being 5 in the nation in field goal percentage.
Sina picked up but made a terrific feed inside for Kadeja Bailey.
Sina,
she's dropping dimes.
Yeah, stepping out. We don't see her on the floor often, but showing us that as this first half of conference play wraps up, hey, Coach Tarnamella, you should put me on the floor. And right there, a nice bounce pass and finding Bailey underneath the floor by the block to finish that layup.
Jasmine Sina, grad student from New Jersey, went to Gill St. Bernard's High School, again, 4 years at Binghamton. And Sky, she recently got the WBCA So You Want to Be a Coach selection, and that she was the first St. John's player to get it since you got it. We're not going to say the year, but what does that mean, and what was that experience like for you? Because Jasmine Sina is going to get it now.
That's big time, and smart move by Jasmine to be interested and to want that opportunity to go to the So You Want to Be a Coach program, an experience I'll never forget. I had a lot of fun spending time at the Final Four, and you get the chance to meet with coaches, hear from coaches, and really figure out what you want to do as you graduate college. Do I want to be a coach? Do I want to continue in athletics? That's what the program is all about, trying to figure out if athletics, if coaching is what you want to do. And also just a good chance to network and be around other players around the nation that you probably don't even get to play against or get to speak to often and make new friends around the country.
That's Jasmine Sina, number 10 in white. She had the assist on the previous play. They're reviewing whether Bailey's effort beat the shot clock, and it did not. So that dime is going to be taken back.
And that hurts, you know. Bailey, who doesn't score often for this group, that could have been a nice bucket to get her momentum going. Only a freshman, and definitely a bucket I know Coach Tarnamella wants right now.
So they've made the signal that's going to be wiped off. Frustrating for St. John's. As we mentioned, they had pulled that play off. Still a 12-point game, and the Red Storm going to pick up full court, at least for a little bit here on the inbound.
And I think that's a great move by Coach Tarnamella. Put some pressure on Villanova. They look way too relaxed out there offensively, and try to make them speed this game up. Villanova does not want to play a fast game. They want to play slow and under control. And let's see if St. John's can change the speed of this game by putting this full court pressure on.
Hahn and Gadeka working this side of the floor. Hahn going to the hoop. No good that time. KB skies for the board. They move it to Sina just in time off the front rim. Again, not a bad look in transition for St. John's versus what they want to do, but not falling. That rebound brought in by Esposito. See Jaycott saying, do I take this? Nah, I got a fresh 30. Let's work it.
And it's exhausting allowing Villanova a fresh 30 because they'll make you pay for giving them a second opportunity at an offensive possession, like right there. And nice big shot by Jaycott, the 6-foot junior, just knocking down another 3 at the top of the key.
Kelly Jaycott is heating up her third three-pointer of this third quarter to make it a 15-point lead. And we'll take a break with them. Villanova 46, St. John's 31 in Queens. Thank you, my bad.
Fans, please direct your attention to the video board for our emoji challenge feature of the game. See if you can guess the emojis before the players do.
Man, how about that 5-point swing? Losing 2 points and taking a 3 at the other end.
Have the chance now to have a sideline spiel since the game's not that exciting.
The mic's not working. That's that's the problem.
Blah, blah.
That microphone, that's supposed to be Megan. Are we still doing post-game coach or player the way we're angling right now? Yeah, be at the desk with me. Yeah, okay.
Well, she can do the interview now. Is she doing the interview or me? She's doing. You're doing the interview.
Because from the interview we go out. We go to the end of the game. We could definitely hand off headsets, but I don't think they want to.
So the interview's not standing up?
No.
I thought we did it last year.
Yeah, but that mic's not working. So probably it'll take your headset. You're yawning? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really? Yes, 15-point deficit for St. John's. 4:10 to go in the third quarter. Been that kind of year. 2-6 for St. John's. Villanova was picked to finish third in the conference coming in, but 3-5, trying to gain some momentum with a second straight win after beating Seton Hall Friday night.
A big road weekend for Villanova, and a group that plays really well on the road, and they can finish this weekend out 2-0 and in this first half of conference play with 2 big wins, and that would do a lot for their momentum and truly will change things for them in this season.
Tiana England has taken it on herself for St. John's. She's got 13 of their 33. Gadeka goes right past Charles, almost like she was standing still.
I know, Gadeka she just makes the game look that easy, and Charles, she's their defensive stopper, Charles. She's on the floor mostly for defense, not so much for offense, and so that's pretty much unacceptable to allow Gadeka to go right past her to the hole.
It is a matchup problem though, right? Charles is a post and Gadeka can step outside pretty seamlessly.
Yes, but you know, Charles, she has legs, she moves well, and still no excuse. Slide your feet against Gadeka.
Kayla Charles missed the Marquette game, was feeling under the weather, but came right back this week. And again, St. John's is only going to rotate 8, so they need everybody available. And another timeout on the floor with Villanova extending that lead back to 15. Wildcats 48, Red Storm 33. I really wanted to stand up and decline the media timeout. I thought we already had 2 this quarter. Somebody called a timeout at like 8 minutes. Or was that the second quarter? Maybe that was the second quarter.
Okay, it looks like everyone's ready. On your mark. Get set. Go.
I really thought we already had 2 media timeouts.
I don't know. I'm just hot and waiting for the game to end.
Why are you so hot?
I'm very pregnant.
You are?
Yeah.
You don't look it.
I know.
Congratulations. I didn't know.
Yeah. Nobody knows.
When do you do?
Memorial Day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you know boy or girl?
I didn't look.
Yeah. Old school. I like it.
I don't know if they're going to let me do that for too much longer. Everybody else wants to know.
Yeah. I thought that's what you said before, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah. People like come up to me at the elevator. Oh, what do you do? I'm like, shouldn't you ask first if I'm pregnant? Like, what if I'm not? Pretty.
Dude, they got to foul Gadeka in the post. She's 8 out of 9, and she's not a good free throw shooter. I know you only have 8 players, but. Tiana England, the redshirt sophomore from Stamford, Connecticut, leading the way for St. John's so far today. Only averages 9.4 a game, so 13 already, and efficient as well. But that's been about it as far as offensive bright spots.
Man, you can look at her face. She's not happy right now. The point guard, the leader for this team, is frustrated right now, not happy with the score. Doing all she can, 13 points, shooting 6 for 8. She came to play today, but she needs the rest of her team to follow her lead and step it up as well.
She was checking herself out on the big screen there. You could see the look. That got a smile out of her.
I've been guilty of that as well. Hey, you get a chance to make sure you're looking good. She's the leading scorer right now.
I'm looking sharp today. Quadasha Hoppy, quiet second half, muscles her way in. Charles the rebound, but pushed off to get there. She's not happy about it. And had a few words for Carlina Tubin.
Charles, who really has no reason to have to do that push in the back, but right there, I didn't see it much, and Charles not happy with that call with that after that rebound, but no reason to push anyone in the back. Just go straight up. You have the length, and you have great jumping ability to just get clean rebounds.
Adriana Hahn, who's nearing the Villanova three-point record, has the ball right now. Scoreless today, has not looked herself. Let's fly here and hits. That's the Adriana Hahn they've been seeing. 280 triples in her Villanova career.
Man, I think she might have heard you, John, saying she's been scoreless in this game, and right on cue, knocking down that off-the-dribble, long-distance perimeter three. A shot that Cena did contest and did have her hand up, but
there's a height advantage there.
Even better shot by Hahn right here, and who would know she would even pull up that far to knock that down.
At the other end, Raven James created a turnover and got fouled. So the lefty goes to the line. Villanova last in the Big East in free throw percentage. It's frustrated Harry Peretta most of the year.
Yeah, and you'd be shocked. The team that shoots so well from around the perimeter behind the three-pointer, and just unable to really get things going on the free throw line, something you don't see often from a shooting team.
This time, St. John's ready for the pressure. Inbounds quickly to Hoppy. That was interesting because Hoppy had one-on-one, and Breelove came over and crowded that side of the floor. I don't know if it helped her or not.
She seems to do that often, I've noticed. Whenever you see a guard or someone driving towards you, even though it's probably not the play they're running, if Breelove has to know to just step out the way, and because when she does it, her defender's able to help out and double the ball.
Knocks down the jumper from just inside the arc, but 17 points the deficit after a make. It's a long way back for St. John's, and Villanova again known for keeping the pace down, 10th in the Big East out of 10 in slowest pace as well. Esposito off balance, of course she hits it. Emily Esposito stepping up, and another turnover at the other end. Villanova on the move.
St. John's almost looking like they're ready for this game to end, and right there, and not getting a stop on defense. And then have to know Villanova, they've been putting this press on the last 3 possessions, and so you have to be ready and watch your passes. They're looking to get a steal and put that press on, and there's no reason to get a turnover right now this so late in the third quarter.
This is one of those, if you're Joe Tartamella, you'd like to pull everybody, but you can't. You don't have enough players.
That's right. St. John's just doesn't have the depth this year. Not able to make many substitutes, so Coach Tartamella has to roll with the group he has going right now.
Esposito's up to 9 today after scoring 13 on Friday. Redshirt freshman from Gorham, Maine. That's a turnover, number 8 by St. John's. Shot clock and game clock almost identical. You can see the signal from the Villanova bench is 1 shot. Jaycott leaves it for Gadeka. She's only missed 4 times in the last 3 games. She goes one-on-one against Breelove. You might want to double here.
Absolutely.
You can see KB lurking as the help. There she is. And it is turned over. England just throws it up and came up short. St. John's again gets the better of the final possession, but it's not going to help them much on the scoreboard. Villanova 57, St. John's 35 as we go to the 4th.
Attention St. John's students, you can win a VIP student game experience when St. John's takes on Villanova on Sunday, February 17th at MSG, courtesy of Coca-Cola.
They've scored 13, 10, and 12 quarter by quarter. That's atrocious.
WBB road trip. Winners will be announced by February 8th. Fans, the Big East Women's Basketball Tournament presented by Chief is in Chicago, March 9th and 12th. Tune in for all the games on Big East Digital Network, Fox Sports 1, and Fox Sports 2.
How can you
Did
play
St. John's men's win? Do we know?
They lost.
Oh.
How can you play this song in a women's game? I don't get this.
It's for the kids.
Not words I'm teaching my kid.
Schiller is a boy or girl? Did you have?
What's that?
You have a boy or girl?
I have both actually. But my girl is 3. My boy is 3 months.
Okay, your girl's gonna learn it in school regardless, John.
Not for a long time. Yeah, I know. She comes back talking about TV characters we've never let her watch. Thank you. A mountain to climb for St. John's as we head to the 4th quarter. Villanova 57, St. John's 35. Red Storm, one of 2 teams in the Big East that is 500 or worse at home. 3-3 at home this year, in danger of dropping to 3-4. Creighton is the only other team that struggles at home after losing to Providence yesterday. And later today, actually going simultaneous to us, Marquette taking on Butler in the marquee game of the day in the Big East. DePaul and Xavier, Georgetown and Seton Hall finished earlier. Right here, Villanova trying to make a move up the standings. Currently 3-5, came into the day tied for 7th in the Big East. St. John's ahead of only Xavier.
And if you noticed, St. John's without England, their point guard, to start this 4th quarter out, getting a brief breather, and they're going to have to step up now. Hoppy, Valaire, KB have to step up and try to help bring the ball up the floor if Villanova stays in that full court press that they ended out in the 3rd quarter.
Foul called against Villanova. It's the 2nd against Adriana Hahn. Seton Hall beat Georgetown earlier. That is a final, and so Villanova can move past them into sole possession of 7th if they can hold on for the win here. Shadeen Samuels with 28 points for Seton Hall in that one.
And right now, St. John's, miss or make, I say get up in a full court press, and they have to try to get stops and quickly in this 4th quarter. Right now, their focus should be getting a stop on defense and a quick basket on offense.
Villanova kept everybody back to help bring the ball up and was able to break through the trap. Gadeka against Breelove. We saw this time and time again down the stretch against Seton Hall.
She wants to back you down and keep her dribble until she gets all the way underneath the rim for a layup.
Oh, by the way, she's a good passer out of the post, too.
Right, as well. When you do decide, hey, I have to double and help out, Gadeka knows how to get the nice pass to her teammates, who we all know are great shooters around the perimeter.
Jana Tucker with 9 for Villanova after that last 3. Raven James into the front court. And Villanova can settle in here.
All right, right now the time, the clock is on Villanova's side, and they're already a team that doesn't play that fast as it is, and right now they're going to try to use up as much time as possible. It
was interesting, the shot clock was at maybe 16 or 17, and the bench was saying, let's go to Hahn, which I figured they wouldn't be saying until there were about 4.
Yeah, I guess they felt Hahn had the mismatch right here. A nice scoop layup and drew that foul on Hoppy.
Adriana Hahn from Wilmington, Delaware. Doesn't have the great size, she's 5'6", but she had some big time offers. Good relationship with Elena Delazon, great Delaware product herself. Got that when she was going to a camp when I think she was 10. Gadeka, terrific kick out of the post. James on the drive, came up short. It looked more like Bailey tripped or traveled, but they call a foul against James.
And that time as well, defensively, Breelove slid her feet. We saw Gadeka was trying to back her down and get to the rim, but Breelove did not allow herself. And right there, Bailey with the rebound and drawing a foul.
The field goal percentage for Gadeka is an interesting number because she doesn't force a shot when she doesn't have the player beat. If she doesn't beat her, she's going to kick it out.
Absolutely. She just keeps the game extremely simple as possible. She has such a high percentage shooting from the field goal because she only takes shots that she knows is her comfort zone, and she's never going to force anything.
Looks like a double dribble. St. John's does force the turnover. And now they'll reset.
Both teams scrambling right there. St. John's ended up with the ball, but Villanova able to still stop them from scoring.
Breelove against Gadeka. Why does she turn onto her right? She's a left-handed player. Hoppy drives, forces it, and scores. Kwadasha Hoppy.
Hoppy right there using her left hand for us, John, and finishing that tough layup down the center. But right now it's more about stops defensively for St. John's.
Hahn on the drive. Took a forearm from Willaire. It'll be the 4th foul against Akina Willaire. From here, Villanova finally gets a home game. In their first home game in, I think, 3 weeks. Providence and Creighton coming to Philadelphia, to the Philadelphia area next week. Then at DePaul, at Marquette. The trips don't get much tougher than that. Home games with Georgetown, St. John's, and Seton Hall. And closing on the road against Xavier and Butler.
And that time, Coach Tartamella saying, come on. Not happy with that call. Felt Hoppy slid her feet and
I don't even know what was called.
Yeah. And
it was 5 on the shot clock, so this gives them 25 more seconds.
And forcing Happy to have to come out the game. And that time a good defensive effort by St. John's. But Han really showing us her dribbling skills in this fourth quarter. It's pretty tough to steal the ball from her.
I'd like to see a ball handling contest between her and England. They both have some serious handles.
Absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun to watch.
She's just standing on one hip in the corner. There's some fascinating body language in this gym today.
Well, Villanova, you know, Han, she can relax a bit. She understands that, hey, she has 4 other players on the team that are amazing basketball players, and so she has the opportunity to relax a couple of possessions whenever she feels like it.
They're heating up. They went 0 from three-point range in the second quarter, but not this second half. God, fouls left and right here. Villanova at 55% from three-point range for the game. Came in shooting 33%. And that continues that trend, Sky, of St. John's giving up huge three-point numbers.
And that's a trend historically. Coach Tartamella mentioned that they usually do well in that category, defending the 3, but this year have just been struggling, have been allowing too many made three-point shots defensively.
And he said he couldn't put a finger on it, which after 19 games is interesting, right? I mean, you watch film on your own team, you try to solve problems, and if he couldn't solve it, that's worrying. Hahn called for the travel after Waller's pressure.
I can imagine, though, you know, this is the last game, as we mentioned, closing out the first half of the Big East Conference. Every team has seen each other at least once at this point, and now teams are going to make adjustments. They've played against each other at least once, and so the next time against every opponent is now their second time around, and so some adjustments that can be made and possibly some different results.
Jaycott finds Esposito, fade away. This time she misses. England up the floor as quickly as possible, pressured with the right, and Gadeka whistled for the foul.
England, she has a quick step. She's hard to stop. Gadeka did a good job keeping her in front and really holding her away right there, but fouled her at the very end while trying to block the shot and got her on her right arm.
All Villanova this afternoon. They can't miss from deep, and they're up 21 here in the fourth. Thank you. 3-point percentage, 55-0. Yep.
By purchasing the official 2018-19 All Sports shirt.
No.
You can purchase this exclusive.
If you can do it, absolutely.
In the campus bookstore. We are New York's team. We are St. John's. All right, fans, it's time for our St. John's t-shirt toss. We're looking for the loudest fans, so get up on your feet and make some noise.
Those games don't count. I'm not working them. Yeah, that's a fair point.
They have a whole new cheerleading squad.
Villanova in control midway through the fourth quarter, leading St. John's by 21. Trying to get win number 13 on the year and get to 4-5 in Big East play. It would tie them with Creighton for 6th. Just one game behind Providence and Seton Hall. And potentially DePaul, depending on the outcome of its game right now. St. John's staring 2-7 in the face. And likely, we say likely to stay in 9th, again pending the DePaul-Xavier game. Heading into the second half of the conference slate. Villanova was picked to finish 3rd. They're a little bit banged up in places. And I think Butler has surprised some people this year. But there's still plenty of time for them to make up ground if Butler can't keep up that pace.
Yeah, and I think Villanova has shown us this weekend that they have the components, they have the skills to get back up there and be the top 5 of the Big East.
Everything St. John's could want, a turnover, ball movement, and assisted layup on that possession.
That's exactly the type of game St. John's needs right now. They need to get stops and make some baskets off of those stops, and you can see Coach Tartamella screaming to his girls, get up, get in her face, pressure the basketball, Bailey, get up in James' face. Let's try to make them force some turnovers more.
And if nothing else, some minutes for Kadeja Bailey, who they're going to need not only this year but for the next couple years, the talented freshman wearing number 30.
And KB that time, after the great defense by St. John's, allowing the main three-point shooter, Jaycott, to knock down another 3 in the corner. That's unacceptable if you're KB. You have to know who you're guarding and always keep an eye on the shooter.
And KB, usually one of the most reliable St. John's defenders. Jaycott walked after coming up with the ball, following a KB tip.
And Coach Tartamella mentioned that's what's been hurting them. You know, they missing out on some of their assignments.
Here's what's coming up for the Red Storm. They're going to be home a bunch. Butler and Xavier next weekend. Marquette and DePaul, of course, still to come in. There's 2 more for Charles.
Charles, good job, you know, having her hands ready to catch those passes and going straight up to finish those baskets.
And then she forgot to be part of the press, and Joe Tartamella was yelling at her.
She doesn't score much, John, and so probably got a bit excited on the inside.
10 count. They're going to say St. John's never had possession, so Villanova didn't get it across midcourt in time, and it is another turnover.
And Coach Tartamella is still coaching hard. 3 minutes and 10 seconds. He's not going to give up on this game until the very last buzzer, and trying to keep that same intensity right now for his players on the floor.
Harry Peretta was claiming St. John's had possession and threw the ball back into play, but Norma Jones was having none of it. Wellaire, open 3. They need this. Not this time. KB cleanly stripped by Jana Tucker, the vet.
KB, she has to be stronger with that basketball. Villanova's not going to allow you to just go up off of rebounds. They're going to make it tough for you. It's all about your strength in Big East basketball.
I kind of like this defense. It's fun to watch. Trap everything. You can't do it for 40 minutes with 8 players. And you're going to give up some high percentage looks when it breaks down, but it's kind of fun at least.
And at this point, St. John's has no other choice. They have to switch it up and do something different. And right now, doubling the basketball is the only option they have if they want to speed this game up.
And what did I say to you at break? I said foul Gadeka. She's really high efficiency converter on a layup, on anything in the paint. She's not a good free throw shooter. She's in the 60s.
Absolutely, but a team like St. John's, there's not many players on the bench.
Yep.
They're the one team that can't do what you suggested and foul Gadeka and force her to make some points off the free throw line, unfortunately.
My strategies only work so far. They don't say anything about keeping 5 players eligible. 41st year in charge for Harry Peretta, hired when he was 22. Was an assistant coach as an undergraduate after an injury ended his playing days. He coached the JV team. He helped with the varsity at Lycoming. And then the right phone call to the right person got him the head job at 22. It was a different era then for hiring.
Absolutely, you don't hear that often. And getting the opportunity at 22 to be the head coach for Division I women's basketball team. And definitely a long resume he has.
11 NCAA tournament appearances, including a win last year over South Dakota State before losing to that little team known as Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. How can we forget about them? Definitely one of the games back in my day while playing with a packed arena every single time. Notre Dame, they have great fans that truly come out and support. You can really hear yourself in that arena.
And that program's continued on the up even since they've stopped playing St. John's regularly. $16 for England, 11 for Wellaire for St. John's, and Hoppy fouls in the backcourt, which will be free throws for Villanova.
The foul's on number 21, Judaisha Hoppy, her fourth, team's fifth.
Probably going to be seeing some free throws down the stretch here.
Yeah, St. John's, I guess now they feel they have, with only 2:34, they can afford to give up some fouls and see if they can force Villanova to miss some free throws because they're not the best at the free throw line.
She was 6 of 12 against South Dakota State from three-point range, dropped 24 in that win in the NCAA tournament last year, and she also goes 1 of 2 at the line.
Challenge for St. John's, number 10, Jasmine Sina.
Jasmine Sina back in for St. John's on the offensive end. 2.5 to play, and it's a 19-point Villanova lead. Hoppy attacks, finds Charles for 2. Her roll to the basket is a part of the game Kayla Charles seems to have down.
Right, and maybe a little bit too little too late, and something they probably should have been trying to work with Charles earlier in this game, because right now the whole screen and roll seems to be working for Charles and any guard that runs it with her.
Villanova might as well run the 4 corners here for the first 25 seconds. Jaycott puts it on the floor, scoops, misses. Charles the rebound quickly for England. Doesn't have numbers, doesn't need them. 18 for Tiana England.
And that's a part of England's game that she's been working on a lot this year and over the summertime, that pull-up jumper.
Gadeka converts once again. Everybody's tired, and so whoever does have energy and has the ball is able to get a run at the basket here. St. John's still doubling. Joe Tardamella was saying, don't foul. St. John's did.
Fouls on number 10, Jasmine Sina, her first. At the line is number 23.
Talk about how tough it is to be a head coach and the stress that comes along with it. And right there, Coach Tardamella is showing us his frustration right now.
He's been to the postseason every year he's been a head coach. You know, this year, under 500 is killing him.
Absolutely, he's not used to this type of season, and he understands, though. Again, they still have another half of Big East play to go, and they still have some hope to make it into post-play season, and so he's still going to coach and try to teach his girls so they can make the proper adjustments as their season winds down.
Kayla Charles unable to handle that one. Mary Gadeka, Kelly Jaycott, and Villanova absolutely flying, and Gadeka gonna put an exclamation mark on it. 23 for Mary Gadeka, and that field goal percentage keeps climbing. Charles misses a gimme. As we go inside the final minute, Villanova gonna go to 4-5 in the Big East, win 3 out of 4 on this road swing, and head home to face 2 winnable games against Providence and Creighton. You may see the Wildcats creeping up the standings. St. John's remains home to host Butler and Xavier next weekend. I know, but it's winnable. It's not Marquette. Shot clock violation for Villanova here in the final seconds. Do I go to break before the interview?
Also in for St. John's, number 30, Kadeja Bailey.
Final trip down the floor for St. John's. Frustrating afternoon. Quidasha Hoppy is going to take it herself and go to the free throw line.
The foul's on number 23, Emily Esposito, her first. At the line for St. John's is number 21, Kadeja Hoppy.
Big East Freshman of the Year last year, Hoppy just had 2 points on Friday. Comes back with double digits, 12 on Sunday in a losing effort. Mary Gadeka, 23. Kelly Jaycott, 17. Emily Esposito, 13. All in double figures for Villanova. Wildcats sweep Seton Hall and St. John's. Villanova, 73. St. John's, 57, the final. Sky, Villanova set the tone kind of midway through the first quarter with its outside shooting and never looked back.
Yes, big weekend for Villanova. They stepped up, came to play this weekend, got 2 big wins to end this first half of Big East play, and a great effort by Villanova this weekend.
We'll take a quick break here on the Big East Digital Network. Come back with a winning Wildcat. Villanova 73, St. John's 57, the final this afternoon.
Fans, if you purchased a rubber duck, get ready to toss those ducks onto the court to win an SJU t-shirt or an Under Armour book bag. We're all set up out there. Okay, fans, get ready to throw your ducks in 3, 2, 1.
Technical issues, yeah. And just try not to get hit. Are you white balancing on my forehead again?
Not sure if we have
Oh, the eyelashes. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, fans, Jump and Dunk will end in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go out there and see if we have any.
How far away are we? Okay, 20 seconds.
We do have one winning duck.
We'll just have Megan ask the questions.
All right, fans, we have one winning duck. Duck number 483. Duck number 483.
Welcome back to Carnesecca Arena on the Big East Digital Network. Jonathan Yardley joined by Villanova head coach Harry Perretta after a 73-57 win over St. John's. And Harry, you get the weekend sweep of Seton Hall and St. John's. What stood out to you about your team's performance Friday and then again today?
Well, I thought we made shots when we needed to, especially today. Our defense was, I thought our defense was better today than it was on Friday night. And we kept St. John's from driving the ball earlier in the game. And they got the ball to the hoop late in the game, but we were up 18 at that point. And we were able to get threes for their twos. They didn't get any threes. We got 12 threes. So that's the key to our game, if we can get 3 for 2s.
Where do you progress from here? You win 3 out of 4 on the road. Now you get to go get some home games. How do you feel about your progression heading toward the second half of conference play?
Well, like I said to you before, I don't get overly excited because I know that every game is different. And I know that every game we cannot shoot the ball that well. So I just want to take each one at a time. This was a big one for us. This weekend was huge for us. If we can get 2 more, it puts us right back in the race for the NCAA and everything else. But you know, we just have to keep working on our defense, and then, you know, obviously keep working on our offense too.
You do get a balanced effort scoring-wise with all the three-point shooting, but Mary Gadeka incredibly efficient inside. I think she's missed 4 shots total in the last 3 games. Just what does she bring to the table, and have you seen anything like that efficiency inside before?
No, I mean, she's a player that shoots a high field goal percentage because she's a mismatch player. She struggled the most when they put a guard on her. When they're playing a big kid on her, she's able to get the ball to the basket and hopefully, try to score the ball. And if they don't, she kicks it, and that's when we got a couple threes when she kicked it out when they doubled her. So that's what we use her for. Like I told you before the game, like we got the idea from Joe Mulaney's father when he coached the Lakers, So we just try to isolate her. If they double, we kick it and shoot the 3.
Harry, congratulations on the win today. Good luck going forward.
Thank you.
Harry Perretta, the head coach of Villanova. A weekend sweep for the Wildcats. They take down Seton Hall on Friday and St. John's on Sunday. Wire to wire almost, a 73-57 win today for Villanova, led by Mary Gadeka throughout with 23. For my partner Sky Lindsay and for Megan Caffrey as well, for our great Big East Digital Network crew, I'm Jonathan Yardley. Thanks for watching this afternoon. Villanova 73, St. John's 57, the final. So long from Queens, New York.